ICE shooting in Minneapolis. Truth, Power, and Politics. Introduction. A fatal shooting in Minneapolis has once again shaken America's already fragile trust in law enforcement. A woman is dead, a federal immigration agent fired the shot, and two completely different stories are now competing for public belief. Homeland Security says it was self-defense. The mayor of Minneapolis says the federal government is lying. This is not just a local tragedy, it is a national political battle over power, accountability, and narrative control. Welcome to U.S. Worldview, where we analyze American politics beyond headlines and expose the deeper forces shaping events inside the United States. Background: ICE and federal power. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, commonly known as ICE, has expanded its enforcement operations across major U.S. cities in recent years. Minneapolis, already sensitive to policing issues after the George Floyd case, has been a tense environment for federal agencies. Local leaders have repeatedly warned that aggressive federal operations risk destabilizing communities and damaging public trust. Federal authorities, however, argue that ICE operations are necessary to enforce immigration law and ensure public safety. This clash between federal authority and local governance set the stage for what happened next. The Minneapolis operation on January 7, 2026, ICE agents were conducting a federal immigration operation in South Minneapolis. Weather conditions were harsh, with heavy snow affecting movement. During the operation, a federal vehicle became stuck. Moments later, a confrontation occurred between an ICE agent and a woman driving an SUV. Within seconds, gunshots were fired. The woman was fatally wounded. Her vehicle continued moving briefly before stopping after hitting nearby parked cars. What happened in those few seconds would soon divide the nation. DHS and Kristi Noem's claim: the Department of Homeland Security immediately defended the ICE agent. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem stated that the woman attempted to run over federal agents and described the incident as an act of domestic terrorism. According to DHS, the agent fired his weapon to protect himself and others from an imminent threat. Former President Donald Trump echoed this view, calling the shooting a clear case of self-defense and warning against what he described as attacks on law enforcement officers. Minneapolis Mayor rejects federal story. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey strongly rejected the federal account. After reviewing video footage, Frey publicly stated that DHS's description of events did not match what he saw. He accused federal authorities of spreading misinformation and using dangerous language to justify lethal force. The mayor went further, demanding that ICE stop conducting operations in the city, arguing that their presence was making Minneapolis less safe, not more. Video evidence and eyewitness accounts. Bystander video footage quickly circulated online, intensifying the controversy. The footage appears to show the ICE agent standing near the vehicle before shots were fired. Local officials argue that the vehicle was not being used as a weapon and that the woman may have been attempting to leave the area rather than attack officers. Eyewitnesses at the scene told local media that the situation did not appear threatening enough to justify deadly force. These accounts directly contradict DHS's claim of a deliberate attack. Who was the woman? The woman killed in the shooting was identified as a 37-year-old Minneapolis resident. Family members described her as a private individual with no public history of violent behavior. Her death sparked vigils and protests across the city, with community members demanding accountability and transparency. For many residents, her killing symbolized a broader fear that federal enforcement actions are becoming increasingly aggressive and detached from local oversight. Federal versus local authority. This incident exposed a deep power struggle between Washington and city governments. Federal officials insist that ICE agents must be protected while carrying out lawful duties. Local leaders argue that federal agencies are operating without accountability and endangering civilians. The language used by DHS, particularly the term domestic terrorism, escalated tensions and shifted the debate from facts to politics. Critics say such labels are being weaponized to silence scrutiny. Political impact. The shooting immediately became a political flashpoint. Conservative leaders framed it as proof that law enforcement officers are under attack. Progressive leaders framed it as another example of unchecked federal force. This divide reflects a larger American reality, where even video evidence cannot produce a shared understanding of truth. Instead, political loyalty increasingly determines belief. Investigations and legal questions. State and federal investigations are now underway. The FBI and Minnesota authorities are examining whether the use of deadly force was justified. Civil rights organizations are also reviewing the case for potential legal action. The outcome of these investigations will determine not only the future of the ICE agent involved, but also how federal operations are conducted in U.S. cities going forward. What this means for America: this case raises urgent questions. When is deadly force justified? Who controls federal agencies operating inside cities? And who is held accountable when things go wrong? More importantly, it reveals how quickly tragedy becomes political ammunition in America. The focus shifts from a lost life to winning a narrative. A woman is dead. Two versions of the truth exist. Only one will survive official investigations. Whether this incident is remembered as self-defense or abuse of power will shape future debates about immigration, enforcement, and federal authority. What is certain is that trust between communities and institutions continues to erode. If you believe stories like this deserve honest analysis instead of political propaganda, support independent voices. Like this video, subscribe to Youth Worldview, and share your thoughts in the comments. Was this self-defense or a misuse of federal power? Stay informed, stay critical. This is U.S. Worldview.